Have you ever met a saint? Have you ever known somebody that you're like, if they're not in heaven with God, there's no hope for me? Um, I want to tell you about one such person that I know, maybe more than anybody else. His name is Steve McDonald, police officer, detective Steve McDonald. Steve's story is that when he was a young cop, he got shot by a punk kid in Central Park, and from that shooting, he became paralyzed from the neck down and spent the rest of his life in a wheelchair and hooked up to a breathing machine. Steve McDonald spent the rest of his life spreading a message of mercy and forgiveness because he forgave the kid who shot him. He kept in touch with him while that kid was in jail and made sure he knew that he was forgiven, and that was his big message. Steve was somebody that inspired you because in spite of his challenge, he would get around and try and inspire other people and move other people to forgive, because people would realize, well, if he could forgive that, I guess I should forgive other things in my life. One of my best memories of Steve was that he used to come and visit my youth groups at various churches I worked at. And when I was in New Rochelle, at the big rally where all the kids came to meet him, he found out that we were going to that next weekend have a protest against hunger. And the kids were going to walk through the streets, educating people about hunger and protesting against the fact that, there were starving people in this world. And when Steve heard that, he was like, I'll be there. And he was. It was pretty amazing just to be able to go through the streets of the city with Steve there in his wheelchair, right along with all these kids. And I'll always remember the reaction of the New Rochelle cops who saw him, because they knew him, and it moved them to see Steve McDonald in their city, in their streets, standing up for something that was important. And yeah, like I said, Steve has got to be with God in heaven. But I want to tell you something else about Steve. He challenged me. He definitely challenged, and a saint will do that. What happened was that Steve left me stranded 3 times. Once he showed up so late that most of the kids he was supposed to speak to had left. And the other 2 times were 2 different churches where there was hundreds, at least 300 people in the church waiting for him. And he never showed at all. Never mind came late. He didn't show at all. And everybody would stay there thinking he's in a wheelchair. He's, got physical issues. Maybe he's just running late. I would call frantically, leaving messages. Are you okay? Are you on the way? What's going on? Nothing. Ending up that these people would turn around and have to go home. Happened twice like that. And each time, the day after, I was really concerned for him. I was like, this isn't right. Not a word here. And I called the next day, no answer, no nothing. And one time I found that he honored a speaking engagement the very night after the one he didn't show for me. And in both of those cases, months later, Steve would leave me a message saying, I'm so sorry about that. Please forgive me. The apostle of forgiveness was challenging me to forgive. So a saint is not somebody you just put up on a pedestal, but if you really let them in to your life, okay, you really let them affect, they're going to challenge you. And Steve certainly did that to me. Oh, and remember, saints are not just special holy people. They're our role models. They're our friends. They're our guides. They're praying for us. But sainthood, to be a saint, to be a holy person, is not just for a few. It's something that we're all meant to strive for.